80s heat. 80s heat. Friendship, laughs, and camaraderie.
Yes. Well, you know what? Let's dive into it.
Yep, let's do it.
We are going to give a little breakdown. We'll go like 3, 2, 1. We'll do a round table of our
Top
favorite three video games of all
Start with the
time.
third?
Let's start with number 1 and lower the climax as we go, James. It's great psychology.
Climax.
Dixon climax. Oh, man. So, number 3 video game of all time. Let's start with Montgomery.
Okay, so if I'm allowed to do greatest video games of all time, because I have got my 80s, but I'll just go with all time for now. Number 3 would be Gears of War 2 on the Xbox 360. The original Gears of War was the reason that I got an Xbox. I saw a buddy of mine back in England playing this, and the graphics on it were just incredible. Third-person cover shooter, like something I'd never seen before. And then all the guys were like running around and bantering with each other, and just it was just so satisfying to hear the guns go off and and the splatter of the alien guys. And it was just so awesome. But then Gears of War 2 came out, and it just had better weapons. Better graphics, better sound, music. The multiplayer was amazing. It was like one of only 2 games that I've been addicted to multiplayer, because I'm a campaign guy. I like to do solo stuff.
Yeah.
But Lone Wolf.
Lone Wolf, yeah. I'm not a sociable gamer. But this was one of those things. Like every other night, I'd be like crack a couple of beers or whatever, and just put my headset on, and I'm chirping some 11-year-old in the US or something, and
That's good.
saying I'll probably do things to his mom and stuff like that. And it was a good time.
See, this is why they should have. This is why they should have included the violence in the titles of the video games.
You know what?
In the UK growing up, because when you deprive kids of something, then they just go overboard with wanting it.
There's probably some kid in Kentucky right now that's had like a case open about this guy.
He's just in a straitjacket in a cell like this. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Number 2.
My number 2, you already brought it up. This could have very easily been number 1.
And this is why I didn't even talk about it
yeah,
too much, because I know this man.
Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2, and you can fact check me on this and you won't win, but revolutionized fighting games. Like it was so groundbreaking, and it's still to this day, it's one of the highest grossing video games of all time.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I think I'm going to step out of the way so
sure.
that your collection's kind of on display as you
Yeah,
talk
I have a whole bunch. I have more than this. I've got Zangief behind the camera, and I've got in storage, I've got like an E-Honda and a couple of others, Balrog or whatever. But yeah, I love me some Street Fighter 2. So you can come back.
I can come back.
Would you always pick Ken? Ken or Ryu?
Guile, I was always Guile.
Guile.
Guile in Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter 2, and then there was the Turbo and the Champion Edition, right? It just kept adding on to that one game. Rather than making a new game, they made it faster, and then you could
T-Hawk and Fei Long. And
that was
DJ.
Super Street Fighter 2, yeah. But they just kept adding to it. But like the original, the World Warrior, was just so good. And it was one of those games that whenever I went into an arcade, it was that was the only game I was looking for.
Oh, you'd have a crowd of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just look for the crowd, and you know that's what Street Fighter was.
Winner stays on, right? Mm-hmm. So that you'd call them quarters here, but we had a stack of like 50 pence pieces or whatever that you put on the machine itself, and then you'd say, right, I'm next. There's my coin, kind of thing, and you just put it on, and then like whoever lost, he's off there. You go into the player 1 or 2 position, and then you're fighting. And it was just and then you'd be chirping at each other as you're doing it, and like just spamming each other with Hadoukens and Sonic Booms, and I was always Guile because I just loved Guile. It was kind of overpowered, I thought, but I had a bit of a technique going with him.
Street Fighter 2 is incredible.
So I did, and that is the reason. My Super Nintendo isn't on display now. It's actually still in England. I still own all of my video games consoles. I'll never ever get rid of any of them.
So you're pretty good at that game. Were you the guy that was always winning and probably had all the young girls hanging around him? And did you have a robe, like a boxing robe that you wear in? And just toss it off and just line up with the freaking control pads there and just bring it on.
Yeah, I was
It's
like,
got like a really good-looking girl, like giving him like a long straw with a glass of
Yeah,
water.
to a
He's like,
soda
into a
popper.
milkshake. Yeah,
You have like a street name?
I had those little like candy cigars,
Yeah.
like little candy smokes.
Yeah.
Won't see those in 2020,
No, you
either.
wouldn't, no,
Oh.
no. But yeah, like that really that got me out to the arcades, and I just fell in love with arcades because of that game. And then I started exploring other games, but that was always the first game I gravitated to.
Great point.
Yeah, and 1991 that was. So it's not 80s.
It's not
obviously,
a-
but,
Not a young game.
but what a great year 1991 was. Terminator 2, my favorite movie of all time.
Now,
It's right here. Super Mario 64. My favorite game of all time, bar none. I've completed this several times.
120 stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I've completed this to its entirety multiple times, and it's just again, and it's pure nostalgia for me. Like that when I first got. If you look at those graphics now, they look very dated.
Box.
But at the time, they were like, "What the hell, Mario in 3D?"
Yeah.
Right. And the worlds that you watched, and it's like that kind of open world roaming around it. That was brand new,
unheard of.
brand new.
Unheard of. Yeah.
And the music. And then that water level, that Dire Docks.
When you're going under the wall. Yeah.
The
It was
gigantic eel, and oh man, like that game was just perfection. It was perfection.
no debate.
And I bought it again recently on the Nintendo Switch, and played it again, and the graphics are just tweaked a little bit, but it's still kind of that
Not
blocky.
enough to take away, I found.
No,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want it to look like
Agreed.
brand new. I like it looking
Yeah.
like that because it takes me back to where I was, and
Yep.
when I was 16 years old and I got that Nintendo 64, and I spent so much time on that thing. It was that and GoldenEye, those two games. GoldenEye was amazing. But yeah, my favorite game of all time, I would say Super Mario 64, without question.
I got it.
Heat. 80s heat. Friendship, lots and camaraderie.